Oh no! We suck again!
Oh, Broncos Country. Oh, just such a killer mood. It was a tough game to watch. Broncos go down 31-7 against your Buffalo Bills, and can't say that I'm massively surprised about the specific win-loss outcome of the game. But there were some embarrassing moments in this game. Definitely some things to look back on, obviously, in this episode of the Buck Your Feelings post-game show here. I'm sure we'll spend quite a bit of time on this game, but we're going to spend quite a bit of time on why, we shouldn't be all doom and gloom here. Broncos Country should be happy. We should be actually really kind of jubilant about the overall arc of this team and where we are in the lifespan of, where NFL teams progress. So we're going to get into it. We got a lot of feelings to buck on this episode, obviously. The last episode of Buck Your Feelings for this year. So I guess kind of taking that to heart right now. Last intro, last one of the year. It's been a great year. And guys, let's get into it for our last edition of the 2024 season of the Buck Your Feelings post-game podcast. Let's go.
Emotional damage.
Yes and no. And with that, welcome Broncos Country to the Buck Your Feelings post-game show. I am your host as always, Jay the Dream Weaver here, sitting next to me, my cousin, the boss man here at the Orange and Blue Network, Mr. Mile High Viking Johnny Baki, and a late happy birthday to you as well. I wish the Broncos would have gotten you something a little bit better for your birthday. How goes it for you?
Oh, you know what, cuz? It's not too bad. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Y'all can, I'm not going to be a doom and gloom and naysayer about all of this. We knew, the Broncos may not have been able to get me the best gift of all, a win, but they did get me a great gift in the form of a playoff game, a meaningful game in January. It was, we look at it, we were very hyped up pregame. We were, and we were all optimistic. We were all hopeful, and we were all calling for a win and all this. And that was all well and good because that's what we are. We're Broncos fans. And sometimes we can let go of being rational for being hopeful. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But we all knew the team we were going to be playing in this game. We all knew how good that team is. We all knew that it very well might not go our way. And if anybody's actually surprised that the Broncos lost this game, then obviously they haven't really paid attention because the Bills are a juggernaut.
They are.
And so, you know what? We got a playoff. Look, I've said it all season. We made it to the playoffs. That's a top 14 team in the NFL. We made it to the playoffs in a season where we were told we were in a rebuild with a rookie quarterback, where we were predicted to only win 5 games, and we did it all with the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history.
Yeah.
I am not ashamed. I am not angry that we're out now. I mean, I'm sad that this is the last time I'll be suiting up as the Mile High Viking, at least until the draft. But this was a good season, and that's what I'm holding on to right now.
Yeah. No, it was a good season. And I don't want the negativity of today to overshadow the macro of this season in itself, because there were so many points at this season where it could have gone awry. They said at the end of the game, which I guess I kind of forgot, but we also made it to the playoffs when we were 2-6 at one point. That is insane. I don't care if you're a rebuilding team, a vet team, whatever kind of team you are. Any team that can turn around a season in that manner is a team worth watching, and a team that is obviously trending in the right direction from, you know, the catchphrase or the catchword that we keep using, culture. The culture obviously is good and trending in the right direction for a team to be able to make that big of adjustment in a season. You know, although they didn't get you a short-term present here, Johnny, you know, they got you the biggest present that they could have possibly given you, and it's the one we've been searching for 9 years, and that's a franchise quarterback. And even in the loss today, Bo Nix showed that he's got fight. It's not like we lost this because of Bo Nix. It's not like because he turned in a performance like Justin Herbert just turned in with a 4-interception playoff game. I think it would have been a mighty different story if the score was the exact same today and Bo Nix threw 3 picks and looked terrible and shrunk in the pressure. Bo Nix, like, catapulted in the pressure, did extremely well. We'll go over the reasons why we lost this game specifically, but none of them start or end with Bo Nix. What do you think?
I may, but you know, as we get into it all, if I may just, it's your show. It's you're the as you put it during the pregame show, the conductor here. But if I may posit a suggestion, when we do move into our who's got the balls segment for game balls, rather than giving game balls on this game, I think we should just do, you know, as this is the last one. I think we should just give game balls for the season instead of giving game balls for today.
100%. I 100% agree, because this is a bigger picture look, 50,000 foot view kind of day. Because at the end of the day, 31-7 looks terrible. And for a majority of this game, it was very close and it was playable. But it was just a few minute details that went awry that caused the landslide to happen.
We said it pregame. Quarter. They even said it on the air during the game. We had our margin for error in this game was tissue paper thin. And unfortunately, you know, you got that tissue paper wet and you flicked it. There was no margin for error. And we even said that earlier in the week. Well, you weren't on because you were sick. But it was me and Kate, and when you know, Kenny Booker, KB82, joined me and co-hosted Nothing Rhymes this week. We said it, you know, that there was that it was a winnable.
Uh-oh. Lost your audio, Johnny. Nope. But you're right. It was a winnable game. Nope, still no. It was a winnable game. We had good matchups, honestly, in this game. There, I think we got you now. I think I hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. Oh, now I missed you. I think it's something with your boomstick. There you go.
Yep.
Now we got you.
Now?
Yep.
Now?
Yep, you're good.
All right, good. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, my children have deigned to mess with some of my equipment pretty recently, and I may have to replace a mic cord. So all I was going to say was, we said that this was winnable. We had the potential, but against a team like Buffalo, we had to play perfect.
Yeah.
Or at least damn near perfect. And unfortunately, we just didn't do that today.
Yep. I mean, you're totally right. There were some significant blunders, I kind of feel like, in this game from specific players. But on the whole, I mean, I felt great coming out of the gate, obviously, just to kind of start the game with first time this season, we finally get a Bo Nix to Troy Franklin connection work. That is a sign of positivity.
At the expense of everyone else catching anything.
Correct. I don't know what happened as far as the juju from that point forward. But then, you got some very one really rough drop from Cortland Sutton, I recall. One really bad drop from Troy Franklin.
Several from Cortland Sutton.
It is tough because we have played far past our potential this entire season. Mm-hmm. And eventually the clock strikes midnight and, we turn back into the pumpkin. And everything comes back to, even keel. That's what stats are. That's what analytics are, is there's always, the median. You're always going to return to average, the median. And this is, the litmus test proved it today, that we're not where we necessarily want to be, but we're not where we used to be. We've grown a lot. Oh, lost you again. But I mean, we are trending up. We are heading in the right direction.
How about now?
Yep, you're good.
All right. And what I was saying is, we're trending up in the right direction. That's where we need, we're headed in the right direction. And if you guys would help us out, we're headed in the right direction here at Orange and Blue Network as well. Help us out by liking, subscribing, sharing, comment, build the family. Come on, guys, help us out over at Orange and Blue Network. Find us on, hit us up on YouTube. Give us that thumbs up. Subscribe. Ring that little notification bell so you don't miss any of our awesome content, because we will have shows every single week all year long. So, so if you're like me and you are missing your Broncos, the season's over, guys. It's a fact. It sucks. It hurts. So if you're like me and you still need your football fix each and every week, how about you come get it with us? So make sure you give us that sub, hit that notification bell so you get you're notified every time we go live. Check us out on our pages on Twitter, on Facebook. Check out the audio version of all of our podcasts on your favorite platform. We are partnered with and we simulcast on MHRT Network. So please jump on over, like, subscribe, share, and comment on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and even on Instagram for MHRT Network. We appreciate you guys. That's how we continue our upward trajectory here on the Orange and Blue Network and MHRT Networks. We appreciate you.
Very much so. Now I want to bring up some comments. We got some usual suspects in here, some repeat offenders, if you will. We got Blitzby repping in the comments saying, not surprised at all by the score. We were definitely outgunned. We're excited for the future with this team. Definitely rooting for the Bills now. Want Von Miller to get another one. I would agree with that. I root for Von Miller individually, but there were some interesting things out of the Bills today that would probably cause me to maybe not root for them moving forward.
There was some definite
yeah. I don't know.
All right, Jay, you froze up.
Oh, there?
No, I got you back.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't think I'll definitely be rooting for the Bills moving forward, but,
Man, some of the ways that they were, I'm sorry, one more.
That's okay. hey, I feel their pain. It's kind of good ambiance background noise to have people.
Yeah,
very
but
upset.
they also know what I'm doing, and I'm totally cool with them being down here and playing, but I kind of want a little bit of
Yep.
Understand. But no, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought completely.
That's okay.
Their actions, the way that some of the Bills players acted. I mean that step over on Cortland Sutton, that was uncool, man. Like that was just disgusting. And you know me, I'm not another thing I just want to say real quick. I'm never the refs cost us this. Like that ref went over to apologize to Josh Allen about that missed hold that really only resulted because of a change of direction in the end zone on Cortland Sutton. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, but y'all didn't call an obvious helmet to helmet on their defense. Y'all missed several holds on Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper earlier in the game. How about you all shut up?
Yeah, it's bad optics. It's bad optics. You don't do that in the playoffs. You don't do that in the regular season. If you're a ref, you should be above that. But it didn't affect the game.
It didn't. But am I wrong that helmet to helmet laid on our?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out. But
this is gonna kill me,
dude. The helmet to helmet was suspect, and there were a lot of iffy calls, I feel like, in this game. I still am not 100% certain that the Ty Johnson touchdown in the back of the end zone, he was not out of bounds with that ankle grazing on that line, because that ball did move a little bit once he was out of bounds. So, I don't know. That could have gone either way, but again, like what we said before, this was a game where there was no margin for error. There was no wiggle room in any sort of, whether it was right call, wrong call, you got to roll with the punches. You got to be playing better than even keel. It's kind of like when you're playing the Chiefs. You need to be up by 2 touchdowns because you know that it's going to get close, whether it's, referee or whether it's just random events. It's just going to happen. I don't think this was a game that was determined or swayed or any way by any specific calls. Like, at least that would be my opinion on the whole of the game. But
my good buddy Michael Yost is in the comments. He says, I want to say I didn't see it coming, but I think we all did. Yeah, we definitely did. Looking forward to the development of this offseason and see what we can produce next season. Absolutely. But then he goes on to say, bring back Jerry Jeudy.
And I'll stop you there, Michael Yost.
Hard out on that. Not a chance. I would rather lick a cheese grater. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Michael even says it up here. We took an L on passing off Jeudy. No, buddy, we didn't.
No,
we didn't. No. Yeah. He's doing some things with the Browns, but here's the thing about Jerry Jeudy. He is a toxic personality. He is a very me. And this team, we've seen the culture this team is building. This is a very unselfish team. And he is a very selfish player. Not a good fit.
Same reason we're not getting Tyreek Hill. Same reason we're not going after that type of player.
I also don't want a wife beater on the team. Thanks.
No. But I honestly I saw that in a lot of comments on X during game and post game, and Blitz throws up another one here. It said, I heard Justin Simmons may want to come back, and I'm all for it. I don't want to go backwards. I'm all done with the past. This is a team that is trending in the right direction in the future. And
I would not be excited if Jay Sims was came back. I'd be happy about it, but at the same time, we are headed in another direction.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't think it's a we need to add previous players that we've had for a nostalgic reason. I've said this all year long. Brandon Jones has played better than Justin Simmons all season long. This didn't happen because Justin Simmons is gone. Really, if you want to poke at someone, it's going to be PJ Locke, and that was a fallacy that we fell into because Caden Stearns didn't work out. That was the original plan for this team, and it didn't work out for him, and PJ Locke was our default. So obviously, as we go into the offseason and we pick apart this roster and we look at the team needs, safety's going to be on there. Justin Strnad today, I think that's kind of a big L in a controlling the line of scrimmage type of thing. I mean, Johnny, you know me. I have been on a soapbox for inside linebacker for years. No audio. But that's going to be obviously an opportunity for this team to get better. When we're talking about getting better players, it's not getting older players. It's not getting players we used to have. I also saw people clamoring for, if Josie Jewell was here, this wouldn't have happened. Bull honky. All right, Josie Jewell couldn't cover a wet blanket. So I don't believe in any of that riffraff. We need to get younger and we need to get more talented at these positional groups.
Can you hear me?
That's going to be through the draft. Yes, we're good now. I got you. So we had a terrific draft this rookie class. We just need to keep stacking them. We need to get more draft picks. So I'm excited for the future for this team.
Oh, absolutely. But linebacker, to your point, Isaiah and I were talking at the end of the game for a few minutes. He declined to want to do the post game today. And I can understand it. It's not, it is what it is. But, when it comes to the linebacker position, this was one thing that Isaiah and I talked about was that you called it a litmus test, this game. And it was. We made it to the postseason. That is a victory. That is a huge victory for this team. We made the postseason. Now we played against a team that helped us to expose, going into the offseason, some glaring holes and things that need to be, that we can now address in the offseason, in the draft, and free agency. And linebacker is definitely one of them. That's one of the good things about playing, games like this. It sucks to lose, but we saw things today. There was so many times this season where we did, we had so much hope and we were so excited that we weren't noticing certain things. Yep. We were kind of tunnel vision because of the success we were having. This team, this game, allowed us to see some glaring needs. One of those, to your previous point, is linebacker, inside linebacker. Absolutely. Yeah. Not only did they struggle in coverage today, but their inability to seal the gaps in the run game. It was absolutely disgusting. At first I wanted to blame it on, the fact that James Cook was running all over us on the defensive line. But the more I watched, I realized, this is a good running back. They're going to get through. But it's up to the linebackers to move up and fill those gaps. And they were abysmal at doing that. And it definitely, Cody Barton, God bless him, is not the answer. And Alex Singleton, I love him, but he's coming off an ACL tear, and who knows what he's going to be like after that. And then and Justin Strnad, definitely not the answer. And I don't even think Drew Sanders is the answer.
No, Drew Sanders is much more in the same vein as Justin Strnad. Alex Singleton, I think we've said this multiple times. We have yet to have a whole game where we're like, man, we miss Alex Singleton. This was definitely it, because this would have been the type of game Alex Singleton is perfect at in his skill set.
He would have thrived. He would have thrived in this game.
I was just going to say, even at that, it's still a serviceable player, but not a player that would have made all the difference in the world today.
Right.
It's a multitude of 1,000 cuts. And, especially when you're going into a playoff matchup and you have the time to game plan specific against a team and it's a do or die. That's, like you said, that's where all of your warts get, shown. And all of our warts, all of our weaknesses definitely got shown today. So that's it. In a glass half full, it's a good situation to see exactly where our fallacies are.
That, and I mean, Bo got, Jack Kenna, the Raiders fan of the Wild Wild West podcast on MHRT, comes on and says Bo got viable experience in this game, and that you cannot put a price on that. And talking to that experience, not just for Bo, but for all of these guys. One of the biggest things that they've talked about, Tony Romo said it so many times on the broadcast. He said, this is a young team. He said, young team, young guys, young. He heard it all game long. This also showed that these guys have no postseason experience, because you got the feeling just watching it that the tempo and all of that they were playing with was very much similar to the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And they didn't treat it as this is the playoffs. This, to them, it was, and I get it, in their mind, they want to be like, every game's just another game. But at the same time, you got to know when you're going into a playoff matchup, you have to treat it differently. And now they know that. Yeah. That's something that they I'm sure the coaches harped on it all week, probably being like, guys, this is the playoffs. We have to, I'm sure they did, but there is no greater teacher than experience. You can sit. It's like this with my kids. I can sit there with my children. My son is still, he's still in an arm brace. He got his cast off this last week, finally. But, we've been dealing with a broken arm for about a month and a half, almost 2 months. And I can sit there and tell them over and over, if you don't stop doing that, you're going to get hurt. If you don't stop doing that, you're going to get hurt. And they're like, yeah, okay, Dad. And then they get hurt.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay, Dad was right. Same thing. Same exact thing. The coaches can harp on it and tell them all week long, guys, this is the playoffs. This is different. And in their mind, they're like, yeah, I know. I get it, Coach. Yeah, And then they get there and they go, oh, shit, this is different.
Yeah.
And now they know that. Going forward, future seasons, this is the baseline, guys. We're going to make the playoffs again. We did it with a rookie quarterback, the biggest dead cap hit in history in a rebuild year. We did it. This is a baseline. We're going back. And when we go back, now they have that experience. They have that knowledge and that understanding.
Yep. And it's, I want to throw this up here. A 6'10" Mexican, Don Diaz, Wednesday and Friday, which is obviously Viva Los Broncos on Friday and then Broncos Talk on Wednesday. He's going to have bad words in 2 different languages for you. So he's going to have a lot of different perspectives, obviously, to come.
So if you want to learn how to curse in Spanish, or if you speak Spanish, you want to learn how to curse in English, tune in Wednesday and Friday on the Orange and Blue Network.
Yep, I'm sure the languages will probably intermix even on both of those shows, as mad and heated as I'm sure they'll get. But
KB82 popping in, saying the Bills' run game gave us 2 game balls on our chin.
Yeah, man. So, other than the Baltimore game, this was the only other game where we just absolutely knew what they were doing and couldn't stop them. We got destroyed on the line of scrimmage in the trenches, and the rest of the games. And I think this is more of a repercussion of that most NFL teams just don't have the ability to kind of do what Baltimore and Buffalo can do. Is just the ground and pound game, and they have the patience to stick with it. That one drive in the second quarter that Buffalo had that started at their 1 yard line. I mean, that's how do you go against that? Our offense was off the field and out of rhythm, and Bo really just couldn't get anything going. So
not for lack of effort on Bo's part. Bo put in effort all game long. It just it can't work when your quarterback is the only one doing that.
So I'm glad you brought up this blitz comment here, because at the end of the day, you can't win when you're in 3rd and long situations. And yes, we can blame wide receivers for some drops on said 3rd downs, but it's the aspect of getting to that 3rd down that is the issue. Your buddy Michael comes back and says, we got to get JW out of our backfield. That is my biggest glaring thing, not even of our own behavior, but watching a team just destroy the line of scrimmage and have a running back that knows where to cut and is dynamic in his run style as Cook was, that makes it even more so apparent that we don't have that. Our whole running back room needs to be redone. We have got to get some talent in that room.
I will make the argument. I will make the argument on that because Isaiah said the same thing you did, but I'll make the argument not completely redone, half redone. I think it's time to say farewell. Just cut the cord. Be done with Javonte Williams. Absolutely, he's got to go. Bye.
He does.
Jaleel McLaughlin as well. All right. All the love in the world to dudes that make the team and do what they can. Undrafted. It's good, well done, but too inconsistent, and there's just nothing explosive there.
Yep.
I feel like we just drafted Audric Estime. I think another year of development will be good for him.
Yeah.
And because he was injured, for so much of the season, we just don't fully know what we have with him yet. So it's not time to cut the cord there. And as far as Tyler Bidet goes, Bidet really was doing phenomenal before his injury. We activated him to the team for the first time since week 4 today. And like we were talking about that pregame, Jay, you were there for it. We figured that he was being brought in as a joker because Sean Payton didn't announce that he would be, activated until this morning.
Yeah.
And so, so the Bills hadn't had any time to game plan for him at all. And yet we only saw him used once, twice.
I think,
and it wasn't on any kind of designed run play. That's what I thought they were going to do was, Bidet's in the game. This is some kind of, specially designed play for him because I felt like they were using him as a joker. It didn't work out that way. And so I feel like we can give him another shot, and I feel like we can give Estime another shot. The rest, let's wash our hands, get a running back in the draft, and maybe another in free agency and move on.
Yeah. I think honestly, it's very similar to the wide receiver room where we have a lot of really good supporting cast, but we don't have a star. We don't have a guy that jumps off the page that like, oh, you got to double cover that guy, or you have to make sure that you know where he is on the field. Sutton's great. I love Sutton. He'll always be a Bronco. He's going to be one of those players that I think we remember fondly. But he's just not. He shouldn't be our best player on the offensive side of the ball, and he is right now.
He should be. He should be. He just shouldn't have to be the best offensive player at every position.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I don't think he should be the 1A. Like, I think there is room for improvement in and I know Sean Payton doesn't usually have a 1A wide receiver. He spreads the ball around. He spreads
the ball, but to have a bona fide weapon, even if you're going to spread the ball around, it's important to have that weapon. That is, he's an X factor.
Yeah,
so to speak, because even if you're going to spread the ball, you need somebody that is going to get the job done if you're going to feed them.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, again, like after last week, we thought, hey, Courtland Sutton. But today, man, he caught a few good passes, but he had 3 drops.
Timely drops. Timely, too.
Devon Vele had two abysmal drops. Yeah. Troy Franklin, I don't think Troy Franklin's staying on this team. I know that they drafted him. I know that they drafted him for his familiarity with Bo, but we have been praying all season to see the fruits of that relationship, and it's not there. Yeah. Now, granted, all the credit in the world to that beautiful the only score we had on the game, which was the long ball that we've been missing from Bo to Troy Franklin all year. But after that, he dropped like 3 or 4 passes, and they were, again, abysmal drops, completely catchable passes. And especially with somebody who has the familiarity with the guy who's throwing him the ball, you'd expect a lot more.
And I don't think Franklin has the potential to commit to him because of how redundant he is with Mims. Mims at least has now a proven track record of being able to be the gadget player that we need on this offense. That's not going to be our signature weapon, but it is a tool in the tool bag. But Franklin there's nothing special about him now. There really isn't. If you can't catch the ball, I mean, what is great having 40 speed? Like, it does not matter. So that is concerning. And then, the elephant in the room that we've talked about all year long in the tight end room. Trotman had one target. I guess Lucas Kroll had a target as well, but like, our tight ends are, abysmal. And so that's going to be another.
Look at the Bills. Point. Look at the Bills. Great example here. They don't have necessarily like the most it factor tight ends in the NFL. They don't have George Kittle. They don't have Travis Kelce, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, they have Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid.
Yep.
And the two of them combined for several very important catches. They may not be like the best, but but those two are definitely better than ours.
Yeah,
and
most certainly.
I hate that for us. I sincerely do.
And
I hate
that's
it for
how they
Troutman.
can get away with it.
I hate it for Lucas Kroll because they're good guys and I like them. They're just not what we need.
And that's why they can survive, though, with the deficiency and talent that they have at the wide receiver room. Like, I wouldn't be pounding my chest for Amari Cooper being my number one, but at the end of the day, when you have awesome interior play and you have two terrific tight ends and you're running two tight end looks pretty much all of your formations, do you really need four good wide receivers? No.
And look at the offensive play calling for the Bills. Joe Brady is a Sean Payton disciple.
Yeah.
And he literally called. You see it. You saw it today. It like almost identical the way that he calls and plays the game.
Yeah.
Was almost identical to a Sean Payton offense. And when you have the right pieces, we have the quarterback now.
Yep, check.
We have the quarterback. And just like Sean Payton, he spreads the ball all over the field. You don't miss Amari Cooper when he's injured because you can spread the ball. But he has all those other pieces, the tight ends, the running back, the wide receivers that are consistent. They're consistent wide receivers. They're not all number one, but they are consistent.
Yep.
When you have all of that, a Sean Payton offense with Bo Nix is going to be very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
We're just not there. We're just not there. We need to get some new pieces, and we're going to.
Yep.
And I want to bring up this one from KB82. The drops were brutal. The missed field goal. Lutz.
It was
terrible fourth down play call.
It wasn't even the 3 points. It was the momentum just decrease at that point going into halftime.
Gone. But I would love to point out one thing about that kick, and that was that that based on where the ball got downed on the previous play, it sucks because one thing, and this is on Bo Nix. In a way, not completely, because obviously you can only throw the ball where your guys are open.
Designed to, yeah.
But at the same time, if you can try to put your kicker on the correct hash, for him to make that kick, he threw the ball to the right side, and Cortland Sutton got taken down, right there along the side on the right sideline, which puts the ball on the right hash.
Yep.
Which means that Will Lutz now has to adjust and kick to the left. We've seen it all season long. When Will Lutz is kicking from the left hash, it's through almost every time.
Yeah.
And so, a 50-yard miss, not something you really expect from Lutz. From the right hash, it definitely changed the momentum and deflated the game.
Yeah. Got Shy Vargas in the house, still bringing the energy from pregame. He says he's very upset, and we definitely could not stop Josh Allen. But most people don't stop Josh Allen. That's the thing, is you mitigate a weapon like that as much as you can. And on the whole, I mean, I don't think we did the worst job in the world up against him in the first, handful of drives.
No,
first maybe four drives they had wasn't that bad. Kept him to field goals in the red zone. We were in the game. It's kind of hard to tell once you get into the back half of the third quarter and into the fourth, how much of it was the effort level of our defense on a lot of those, long bombs they had, like to Kincaid from Riley Moss. There were a lot of like, let's let go of the rope moments, I feel like, towards the end of that game that made that score look a lot worse than it really was.
Yeah.
Man, it's tough, Shy. So it is tough. We're all feeling it, man. And Jack saying, Richie's going to go off on Wild Wild West. And yes, I'm sure he will. He's always got a very good even keel level head to him. So tune in to MHRT Network's Wild Wild West show. Because I can't wait to hear what the Charger correspondent has to say about his quarterback's performance as well. So they stunk the room up. But
now Michael Yost coming in here. I'm open to getting a new defensive coordinator. That, and only in this case if VJ gets hired as gets a head coaching position somewhere else. But definitely a dedicated offensive coordinator. I need Sean Payton to take a step back. That's never
going to happen.
Ever going to happen, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yep.
No, listen, Sean Payton, honestly, he had he took a few risks today that didn't pan out, but he is still an offensively minded genius, and he knows that, and he will never give up play calling ever to anyone. That, as long as he is the coach, that is what he will do.
There was a really bad fourth down call, a play call they put in. But other than that, I really don't have a whole lot of disagreement with the play calling in this game in general. Because at the end of the day, how is he to affect that Javonte had the longest run, 6 yards. Mims had a 4-yard run. Bidet had 7 yards as a max. Like, none of our running backs can get any sort of separation and can do anything running the ball. And you have to run the ball in this offense. Buffalo just proved it. We got the same dang game plan. So, imagine Buffalo not being able to run the ball at all.
Yeah, I mean, James Cook is a game-changing running back.
100%.
He's very good. But you even saw it. But you saw it even when James Cook wasn't in there. Johnson was able to get some moves up the field.
Yep.
I mean, and Michael Yost brings that up right here. We need to focus on our running backs and stop the committee. It makes me so mad when I watch a 5-yard gain and then the running back immediately runs off the field. I mean, and that's just because we don't have a dedicated one. We don't have someone who just jumps off the page. When we finally get that, and we know, and that's not the Sean Payton thing. Like, I'm going to say
it's
that.
Not.
Okay,
that's not a play calling.
Because
thing.
when he had Alvin Kamara, guess who was in there almost every play? Alvin Kamara. He knows what we have, and right now we don't have a dedicated one.
We have crap.
So, when we get one, it'll be fine. But we're just not. We're again another place to address. D-Rock coming in. Who's excited for next season? This guy.
Dude, so excited. So excited. Honestly, I'm really excited to see how this roster is constructed. Free agency is going to be unlike anything we've seen in a long time because we have money and we're going to have a lot more money. Do something with it. That's going to be a big, big deal.
And let us, again, as always, remind everybody, we have the richest owners in the NFL. And one thing you can do, I always remind everybody because I love to be. I kind of think of myself as the contract guy for the Orange and Blue Network. I try to really delve into contracts and money and all that. For it is that you can, if you can convince certain guys to change their contracts and add some cash bonuses, then you can pay those in cash and you get more money. There's ways of maneuvering the salary cap.
Yep.
And so we're going to have, I guarantee right now, this team knows what they are. And there's going to be plenty of guys who would be willing to restructure their contracts, for this team. That's the culture that we've built. It's not this is a very unselfish team.
It is.
And and I believe that if they approach certain guys and be like, hey man, I get we're supposed to pay you this much this year, but why don't we convert this to a bonus, convert this, do this, incentivize this? Would you be willing? And they'll be like, yeah, because I see what we're building here. And we're going to have a lot more money and we're going to be able to do a lot more with it.
Yep. And the mentioned Richie Richey in the chat here saying it was actually worse than that, Jay. Their offensive line is built to be more physical, whereas ours is not. And our offensive line has done leaps and bounds better than what they have been in the past. I mean, at the end of the day, we were number one in pass protection for a line. Run blocking, probably not so much with the running stats that we have. But at the end of the day, I truly think with the signing of Bowles, either Ben Powers or Mike McGlinchey will be cut as a cap casualty. There will be a shakeup on that line. I wouldn't even be surprised to see a different center. So there will be some shakeup, I think, on that line, because I think there is still room to improve because, yeah, we don't have the sacks anymore, but like what we said pregame, it's a quarterback stat. Bo Nix in and itself is not going to give up sacks. That has nothing to do with his offensive line. So there's more to come with that. And then that's, again, another focus point for the offseason. Another thing to be excited about, to see what direction this team goes in.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and just to cap that off, when you have an offensive line that's physical, you can send out a tight end to run routes because you don't have to chip block and you don't have to, make sure that, your tight ends are, Adam Troutman being a primary blocker first because, you're not trusting of your offensive line to run block adequately. So it all goes together.
And now, I brought him up a minute ago. Blitzby Reppin says, why not go get Alvin Kamara? No. You can count me on that. Even Michael Yost agrees. Kamara isn't the answer either. Here's the thing about Kamara. Yeah, he's a beast, but he has been on a downward trajectory the last couple seasons. And the truth is, unless your name is Derrick Henry, running backs don't age well. It is just a fact. And the shelf life of a running back is 3-4 seasons on average for a good running back. And we've seen that. You look at Javonte Williams. And the thing is, like, while Alvin Kamara is still a beast, he's not going to be for long. I mean, he might be. I'm not going to say that outright, but I don't. Based on the decline, the steady decline of his production, he's not going to continue to be a beast that you want to bring in here right now.
We need to keep the young movement and build upon that. And splash in some vets. And trust me, there will be vets that are signed in free agency to round this roster out. Because don't think for a second that you're not thinking in terms of, well, wow, Bo looks great. Bo brought us to the playoffs in his first year. We only have so many years at rookie contract money for Bo until Bo gets paid. So we have a window here, and it's not going to be able to be a true organic youth movement forever here. We will have to, jump the gun and sign the vet talent to come in and not develop, but like, we need you at your top of your game now. That will happen eventually, but D-Rock in here, and we are going to beat this dead horse to death, I'm sure, as we get closer to draft season.
Now it becomes draft season for us.
It is.
So that's what we will be talking about the most over the next few months.
Better than talking about that in October, am I right?
Absolutely. Hey, this is the first time where we weren't starting to talk draft stuff, really having to consider draft stuff in November.
Yeah. That's a blessing in itself. But he wants Loveland out of Michigan, the tight end, and Scatabo, the Arizona State product running back. So
by the way, just to set Arizona State, I want to throw it out there. I'm going to be enrolling soon through Arizona State to get my degree. So kind of excited.
There you go.
Kind of excited. I see this one by Blitz saying we need to grab T. Higgins. Yeah, I mean that would be a really good get. It'd be a really good get. Definitely possible. Another possibility for wide receiver that I've been talking a lot with me and Isaiah have been talking a lot about is the possibility Garrett Wilson wants out of New York. I don't freaking blame it.
Yeah.
And I think that Garrett Wilson would actually be a phenomenal get for a weapon for Bo Nix. But what are your thoughts on that, Jay?
I'm not too opposed to that, although I've seen some character things out of Garrett Wilson that we have not seen out of T. Higgins. If we're going to do the splashy thing, I'm actually not opposed to T. Higgins because everything I've seen out of T. Higgins says that he's a very, culturally fit person for our team. Whereas I don't know if Garrett Wilson necessarily is. I mean, he was John with Aaron Rodgers very early on in this season. And granted, I would jaw with Aaron Rodgers as well. But
well, again, we're talking, but again, at the same time, like if you're gonna have to be around someone like Aaron Rodgers, you're talking about, we were talking about this unselfish culture that we have here. Aaron Rodgers again is the exact opposite. He is a very, very selfish player. And so for Garrett Wilson to jaw with him over that, maybe that's just because he's been forced to be in that situation with that kind of a person.
Not opposed. Not opposed. I wouldn't give up much though, because he's on his rookie deal still. He's going to get paid, but whoever acquires him, that's a tryout basically. Unless you extend it, it's a sign and trade, and he gets traded and automatically signed with an extension. I just don't know if that'll happen though. So I don't know. Those are two intriguing things, but at the end of the day, I'd still rather go draft heavy, and keep signing in the trenches for free agency.
These guys, of course, Jay, are preaching to your heart. I want Travis Hunter, but I know there's no shot. D-Rock, Travis Hunter in Denver, let's effing go. Yeah, dude, look, the amount we have right now, as it stands, we have 6 draft picks. All right, we have a first, second, third, and fourth. We do not have a 5th. And then we have our own 6th. And then we traded. We don't have a 5th because of the Bradley Chubb trade to Miami, that got us the pick that we used to get Sean Payton. So we don't have that 5th. We have our own 6th, and then we have a 6th that we traded our 7th to the Eagles for. So we have 6 draft picks right now, guys. Now, to move up in the first round, we were a top 14 team, guys. We were a top 14 team. We will not be picking in the top half of the first round for the first time in who knows how long. Okay? To move up as high as you would have to get Travis Hunter, you'd have to give up almost all your back end picks. You'd have to give up like your at least both of your 6s and possibly your 4th in order to move up that many spaces in the first round. It's not going to happen. No. It's not going to happen. Now, I'd love to go for, let's say, Tyler Warren in the first round.
So I don't think that's going to happen either. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick.
I know. I would love it if we could. Now, now Isaiah and I have talked about this a little bit. It's fun. We're talking draft now. We've talked about this. If VJ, we know that there's interest for VJ to go head coach somewhere else.
I ain't gonna happen either.
I don't think so either. But if it does happen, we will get 2 third-round compensatory picks for that, for losing him.
Yeah.
That, of course, if that were to happen, you could use those 2 third-round picks, trade them up to move up in the first round pretty easy.
Yeah.
But
pie in the sky.
Pie in the sky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely not going to happen at that. And Richie says the Bills' offensive line allowed them to rush for 210, and Baltimore's O-line allowed them to run for 299. So, we've seen both those teams and where we want to go with what this offense, can be. And it starts in the trenches. And I've even seen people really pound the table for a defensive line in the first round as well. Just anyone in the trenches that would really boast, that philosophy, the same thing that we're talking about.
it is a really hard sell for me to draft a tight end in the first round. That has historically been really, really tough unless you are drafting a Brock Bowers, a historically great tight end, but anyone below 15 and down, I wouldn't do that.
This draft class is going to be very strong for running backs and wide receivers. They have some good tight ends in there, but I don't think any of them are first round material for us.
Yeah,
Warren
is probably it for me, but
I would go for a wide receiver to be honest.
Yeah, Luther Burden. I'm still on the Luther Burden train, man.
I am. I would love. I mean, my Mizzou Tiger heart aside, I love Luther Burden, and I think he'd be a great fit here.
I think he would as well. I really think he would. But at the end of the day, we got to get weapons. We absolutely have to. D-Rock says David Njoku. That ship sailed, and no thank you. Everything I've heard, he's a head case as well. So I don't want anything to do with that. Richie agrees with T. Higgins is definitely a better character, but he is hurt. There is the injury aspect to that, but I don't know.
There is that.
Let's see here. Blitz says, you guys have been saying that you don't want veterans, but every playoff team still left has at least 2 stud receivers, 1 stud tight end, and if you don't use them, it makes defenses honest.
Well, okay. I disagree slightly. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to veterans. I'm only opposed to certain veterans.
Correct. They have to be the right veteran. It
has to be the right guy. And in this case, Alvin Kamara is not that. Yeah. And there's other guys that just aren't that. And so yeah, if you can get the right veteran for the position that will not only fit well with this culture that's being built here, but also fit well with Bo Nix and with Sean Payton's game style, then yes, absolutely go get him. There's just certain ones that are not, like Sean Payton's system is a very specific system. There are certain coaches who call systems that any player can fit into. Sean Payton's is not one of those. His is a very specific system. And if you're not able to fit in that system, you don't come here.
Yep. And it's schematic fit, and it's also, like you said, cultural fit. So if you get a diva, divas aren't going to play nice with Sean Payton's philosophies about coaching. But
no, not at all. So I mean, this game was not a great game for us, and that's okay. That's okay. You know what? We were in the playoffs. Oh, Richie Rich says, Jay, pay your internet bill.
The hamster. I'm trying to feed the hamster some water. Slow.
Well, you're feeding him water?
Yeah. Well, I'm not drinking it for him.
Right. But no, like D-Rock says here, I'm sorry, but I feel good. When was the last time we could say we're going into the offseason with hope for next season? Exactly. Like I'm not going to go and take off all of this and then just pout all night like I have in the past that it's the end of the season. We made it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with all the adversity against us to do that, we did that. And that is something that I can go to sleep tonight proud and happy.
Absolutely.
That we were even there.
Yeah. And, I guess with the perspective of looking at this season overall, I kind of want to turn to, let's take this year and let's do the exercise of rolling out our year and running people that we want to sign our yearbook first. And these are the main squeezes for this year. And who's got the balls. So let's get on in it.
Yeah.
Do you got anything, Johnny?
I just want to say thank you all. Before I know we're not at the end of the show, but I want to just say this. Thank you all for standing with us. We have names all over this chat right now that have been with us since the beginning, since the inception of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue, and then our migration at that time to MHRT Network, and then when we split from MHRT Network and we were apart for 2 years for personal reasons, and then again, and then that created the formation of the Orange and Blue Network, and then now the Orange and Blue Network and MHRT Network partnering up and getting past our differences and becoming pals again, and all of that. There are names here, and to the new names too. Thank you for a wonderful 2024 season. Sticking with us, standing with us, being here each and every show. I really, really appreciate it. And real quick before you go into that, Shy Vargas says, "Talk to you next year." Well, hey, Shy, we're still going to be live every single week with the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast and Broncos Talk and Viva Los Broncos and we plan to launch new shows this year as well. More new shows, possibly with some new hosts even. So, it's not next year. We'll talk to you. Hopefully we'll talk to you this week.
It's not goodbye. It's see you later.
It's see you soon. All right. On that note, Jay, who's got the balls?
All right, let's get up on the intuition. All right, so this is the yearbook edition of Who's Got Your Balls. Do you want to do 3 each? Do you want to do 2 and 2, or
like I feel like we should go a little bit more than we ever have. 4 each, because we're not giving game balls based on this game. We are giving game balls based on the season. Who were the best performers on this team? Who are the 8 best performers on this team for the season? Who deserves that? I think 4 each is would be a good way to go, buddy. But that's up to you. Again, you're the conductor.
No, I'm all good with that. I think that makes total sense.
All right.
Okay. You want to start, or do you want me to start her out?
I'll go first.
All right, go for it.
I'm going to get the obvious out of the way this time. And you're going to hate me for it, and I don't care. Bo Nix. Bo friggin' Nix.
I thought you said go, Bo, go.
You know what? Not only did we draft a rookie, but we drafted a rookie that the entire NFL looked down upon, that the national media was sitting there saying, this is going to be a bust pick. This guy's not going to do. And we're sitting here going, and then, of course, all season long, we're at least the first half of the season, is he going to be the guy? We've been caught on this quarterback carousel for 9 years. How many starting? I can't remember. I know I've heard it a million times. How many starting quarterbacks has this team fielded since Peyton Manning left?
I would say 13.
13, 14.
That's the number that sticks out.
Disgusting. And we're sitting here, wondering, is Bo Nix the guy? Is he our future? Guess what? Bo Nix is the future of the Denver Broncos. He is going to lead us into great places. I fully believe it. I fully know it. The dude had incredible stats on the season. He broke rookie records, and he did other just incredible things. Hang on, I'm gonna pull this up and see if I can't find him. Find his stats, his season stats, real quick. Let's see. Where is it? There we go. All right. Are you ready for this? Bo Nix stats: 376 completions, 567 attempted. Completion percentage is 66.3. Not the best, but again, when you're talking about a rookie, I'm okay. 3,775 total yards, 29 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. With the longest pass being 93 yards. The guy absolutely lit up the field, not only with his gameplay, but with his personality. And the way he's leading this team. Isaiah said it pregame. Adam Troutman in an interview said this week he is fully bought into the fact that he is leading this team. He's told him to shut up in the huddle on multiple occasions. We've seen him go a rookie quarterback go crazy eyes in the face of Max Crosby. We've seen him step to the sideline and tell his head coach who's yelling at him for changing a play, "No, coach, I know what I was doing was right. I am the field general and I made a call." That is our quarterback. And then of course the way he interacts with the fans. We beat the Chiefs and he runs around the outside of the field in hands. Yeah. The entire stadium to all the fans, waiting to high five him. The guy is here. He is here to stay. He's had an amazing, and whether he wins rookie, offensive player of the year or not, he has had a phenomenal rookie season, and I think he deserves every game ball right now. But he definitely gets a game ball for the season. So well done, Bo. What are your thoughts?
No, as we talk about, what's to come and the hope that we have instilled in our fan base because of this season, it starts and ends with Bo Nix. And I've got another person that, in my eyes, is kind of that same kind of trajectory, up and coming, and is somebody that should give everyone hope that we are doing the right things. And D-Rock brings it up. Casa Bonito, man. Nick Bonito with 13 and a half sacks this year, a second-team All-Pro, a Pro Bowler. This is a guy that was very doubted coming out of Oklahoma. We definitely kind of overthought that and reached for a guy that was supposed to be a project. And man,
in a way he was.
George Payton, I guess, it should give us hope because it's just more validation that George Payton knows what the hell he's doing, and he's not going anywhere. And
his staff.
Correct. And having a premier pass rusher unlocks so many different things that you can do with a defense, very similar to having a shutdown cornerback does. And for us to have both, that is an extremely rare thing. And I think we have just seen the floor for Nick Bonito, and I think there's only, more to come for him. What an incredible season for Nick Bonito.
The best
wasn't even a starter.
Come and say, won't it be?
Baron Browning was supposed to be Nick Bonito's season. That was Baron Browning's season. So what a surprise! What an overperforming year for Nick Bonito, but the best is yet to come. So he definitely gets my first game ball out of the game.
I love that game ball. I love that. Why we call? You know what? Let's change it up. Let's stop calling them game balls. Let's call them season balls.
Yeah. Season ball.
What a season ball. What a season ball.
What a season.
For Nick Bonito. And he's funny. He interacts and he's a funny dude. He totally knew when he jumped in the air, on his pick six, he totally knew he was gonna, when he jumped in the air and grabbed his crotch, that he was gonna get fined for that. He knew. He didn't care. He's like, no, watch this. I'm gonna have a little fun, And he's charismatic. I think he just like Bo does offensively. Nick Bonito is one of those on the defense that elevates the play of everyone around him. He's shown that this season when the one time he was out for a little bit, things were a little bit different on that side. He is a very, very good player. He is and he is definitely someone that we needed. And so I am very, very for Nick Bonito getting that season ball as well. So, Couple more in the comments here. Just going back to the talk about veterans and our apprehension on certain people. Blitz says, but those certain veterans you guys want aren't available. Okay, that's true.
Well,
I
they're not
guess it's a
available
matter
yet.
of, yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pretty good names coming out in free agency this season.
Every season, they're not on the free agent list right now. It's not like their contract's up.
Yeah.
Every season, we get cap casualties of vets that have nothing to do with their ability to play. It's that they're on the third season of their massive contract, and that team's just not in contention. So why would you pay the veteran all that money when your team's not going anywhere? That has nothing to do with
that. There's that, but also let us not forget that once free agency starts, this team is now a playoff team. This team is now, we may not be the destination team yet. We're not. And anybody who thinks that we are is delusional. But we have shown the NFL this is a good place to be. We're building something great here. And now they're going to start seeing that, and they're going to start wanting to be here. So we will see a lot more, good names wanting to be here as much as they might want to be other places as well, certain other places as well. So we'll definitely be considered a lot more as a place for guys to land.
We got a 4-year window with controlled quarterback money.
Yeah. We got both Blitz and Shy asking if they can be hosts on the Orange and Blue Network. We can talk about it. We'll see what we can, we'll see what we come to. You guys,
sounds like
like
a new show you two can do together. Blitz and Shy.
Yeah, right. Let's see. So I guess now with my next season ball, I'm actually going to go with one here that Michael Yost threw out because I've given the guy a bunch of game balls this season. And I just feel like he deserves it, even though he definitely did not have his best moment today. And that would be Will Lutz. Michael Yost says it here. Will Lutz for a season ball. Yes. Definitely sucks hitting the upright today from 50 yards. And basically kind of derailing our momentum at that moment. For the rest of the game. But if there's one thing that can be said about Will Lutz this season was that for the most part, he was incredibly consistent and he put points on the board when we needed him to in multiple occasions. And I just feel like kickers put points on the board just as much as about anybody. And they always get overlooked because the kicker position just is not as flashy a position. But I feel like Will Lutz earned himself a season ball. He'll be here next year. He'll be the kicker of our foreseeable future. And I've just really enjoyed watching him, come into his own as a Denver Bronco.
He had the most field goals in Broncos history in a season, passing Jason Elam. I believe it's 31 field goals.
31 field goals.
Literally, you've never seen a better kicker in Broncos history in a given regular season. Granted, you have the extra game, so throw that out there. But, I mean, that's incredible. I mean,
now we just need to see him kick the long ball like Jason Elam style.
Yeah, but I mean, consistently, it's nice to have a kicker that you can rely on, and every single time Lutz lines up, I feel like it's going through, and that's a really nice mental thing to have on a football team. So a lot of confidence in that guy. So he absolutely deserves a ball for the kind of season he had, for sure.
For sure. So what about you, Jay? So
my next game ball is going to go to a guy that's been the up and down aspect of this season. And it's going to Marvin Mims. Started this season off really crappy. Couldn't even get on the field. Didn't really understand why he was on the team still, because we just couldn't find a role for him. We couldn't find his niche. All we kept last year was those reverses. Play that we had for him was a reverse.
We've now seen him line up in the backfield as a running back and have huge success. We've seen just tons of things out of him. So he's got 6 receiving touchdowns on the year. And I guess I didn't realize this. He only has 40 yards. Seems like he had more rushing yards than that, but he got a lot of opportunities with that. So 13 carries for 42 yards. His longest rush was 17 yards. But it just seemed like we utilized him in a fashion that he has etched a rollout on this team. And I think he's going to be on this team. And I think he has a role moving forward. So he's gained the trust, I'll tell you that, of Sean Payton, because he did not have it in the beginning of the season.
No, he did not.
So very under the radar player that I think a lot of the NFL had no idea who he was and thought he was just a special teams player. And that's, what he's gotten back-to-back Pro Bowls for. He is a great special teams player, and that's obviously the most notable thing about him in a national sense. But what he's done on our offense made our offense transform this year. So
sure.
Heck yeah, Marvin Mims.
Love it. I agree with you very, very much. And I think it just took a little time for him to come into his own and really feel and really find the confidence in himself to do some of the things. Like you said, he's a great gadget player, or you said that earlier in the show.
Yep.
To do some of the things that were being asked of him, and now that he has, we're seeing a new ability to run routes. We're seeing good hands. We're seeing good decision making on his part. And of course you can't forget to talk about his speed, how fast he is. Once he gets going, he's gone. And so, yeah, absolutely. He had some, and talking special teams for him for just a second, you all, take into consideration too, that even though he didn't have a kick or punt return for a touchdown this season, he put together quite a few very impressive returns. And that's again, why he got Pro Bowl again for it this year. So yeah, he is absolutely, he absolutely deserves that game ball. Back to the comments for a second, if you don't mind, if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Shy Vargas popping back in saying, when is the NFL draft? That is on April 27th. I want to say.
End of April. Always end of
April 24th. Sorry. It's April 24th. It's a Thursday and it goes through the Saturday, the 26th. So definitely, we'll definitely be, doing a lot of draft coverage. We will have a during the first round show like we did last year again. Just watching the first round of the draft and paying attention to all the picks leading to our own and making predictions and having a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing a first round show last year. And I'm very excited for it this season as well. Michael Yost popping back in saying, don't need my own show. Just let me be a guest on here. Well, on this.
I was going to say.
But,
we'll look at Tuesday nights for sure. Nothing rhymes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let me see. Blitz be repping, saying excited for Bo and Troy next year. I think they may have a shot to take Bo's half brother Tez. I believe he is a senior this year. I may be wrong. I'll have to check, but he may be a late draft pick steal. That's a possibility. I mean, that's somebody Bo's played with literally his entire life. As far as Troy, though, man, I'm not sure he's made enough of an argument for Sean to want to keep him on this team.
Johnny, let me tell you a stat that's going to blow your mind that I just found as we were talking about Mims. Can you believe this? That Troy Franklin on the season had more targets than Marvin Mims.
Mm-hmm.
Is that crazy? I think that's
nuts.
It's only by one, but Troy Franklin with pretty much the second on our team on targets.
And yet somehow couldn't haul in over half of them.
Correct. It is notable.
So,
I guess technically Vele is number 2 in targets for our team at 55. But we go from 55 targets to Cortland Sutton's 135.
Mm-hmm.
Massive difference between Court and
Huge.
everyone else. Crazy.
Hey.
So
Okay. So excuse me. Number 3 for me. Season balls. I'm going defense. And I'm wearing his jersey. So beautiful number 2 there. It's absolutely Pat Surtain the second. The dude he definitely didn't have it. He had a few games this season that were a little out of character for him. But for the most part, he is still absolutely the man, the myth, the legend, and he will be a legend in this league. Let me pull up some stat lines here for him real quick. There it is. So some season stat lines here once it pulls up, because for some reason my phone's being stupid. I'm just gonna, give me just a second. I'm changing something real quick.
that's okay.
Here. All right, here we go. So Pat Surtain on the season. He had 45 tackles, 34 of them solo. 4 interceptions. For 132 yards. I remember being at the game against the Raiders for that pick 6, and getting to witness that in person was just unbelievable.
That changed our season. That was the pivot point for our season.
Yes. 11 passes defense, which is not necessarily, it doesn't sound that great because like 11, that's it. But that's a big part of that, of course, is
he is an all-pro.
He is an all-pro. That he's such a shutdown that 11 passes is all that they really threw at him to defense. He is just that guy. He's polarizing. He is an amazing locker room leader. Again, and again, to my earlier points, very unselfish, and just goes out there and takes care of business. So Pat Surtain, I believe he'll be one of those that will be a Bronco for life, because I don't think they'll ever want to let him go somewhere else.
Yep.
And I definitely believe he deserves my 3rd season ball.
Yeah, he's a Ring of Famer, man. He is the best player on our team by a lot. He is, I think, a walking Hall of Famer as well. It's so hard to judge cornerbacks, but if anyone knows what a good cornerback looks like, it is Denver, because of all the years that we have had either the no-fly zone or Champ Bailey. In combination, those two experiences for our fan base has made us, in my opinion, pretty good experts on what constitutes a good cornerback and not a good cornerback. I remember days where we had people like Lenny Walls being our number 1 cornerback, and thinking to myself, well, this is the worst. We are so lucky to have a shutdown cornerback. And like I said about Nick Bonito, that having a premier pass rusher changes the whole complexity of how you can call a defense. A shutdown corner does that exact same thing. And so for future years here, if we can just lock up the Cooper-Bonito duo, along with Surtain's already locked up, I don't care who's coaching this defense. This defense is full of talent and full of potential. So,
and dude, and you said it, Cooper. Cooper with Bonito. Both of them had double-digit sacks. Yeah, definitely honorable mention. Double-digit sacks. What a tandem! It opens up what you can do on both the front end and back end of the defense.
Yep.
That you've got. That you have got guys that are going to shut it down up front. Josh Allen's a different story, and we knew that. Now we can definitely bolster it to bolster this defensive line to be better against him, but he is just that kind of a player. But to your point, Pat Surtain and those guys, as long as you have those guys on your team, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
100%.
Pat Surtain.
No, that's a really good one.
Number 3 for you, my dear cousin.
Before I hit that, I'm going to hit a couple comments here.
Okay.
I got D-Rock saying, so are we taking a flyer on Tez from the Duckies? The guy, Tez Johnson, he's basically Bo's brother, lived with him.
Adopted by his family. Yeah.
Me personally, I would pass. And I say this on a couple of fronts. We've already tried the experiment of somebody that is familiar with Bo. And frankly, Troy Franklin had a better season at Oregon than Tez just had. Troy Franklin had the best wide receiving season Oregon Duck has ever had. And this is what we got out of him for his rookie year and kind of the foreseeable future to that. I do think Oregon is somewhat of a system-oriented offense. Dylan Gabriel is a great quarterback, much like Bo was. So all of their, talent, skill position players are, I think, a little inflated in value. So not for me personally, but, I wish him success. So that's just me.
All right. I like it.
Also want to say Bronco talk from VA, and I think it's Virginia. I'm going to go ahead and think
it sounds like Virginia to me.
Good afternoon. It's a new name on me. I don't think I've ever seen that. So thanks for joining us. Kind of on the, I guess, season recap here as we're giving out season balls to kind of end our post-game coverage here for the 2024 season. But please like, share, and subscribe us. Bronco Talk from Virginia. We come at you once a week with plenty of different show offerings.
That's just us, though. There are multiple shows that run all week long.
Very much so. So go find us, please, on all your social media. But back to my third ball. It's going to be Courtland Sutton. And for a couple of different reasons. Courtland Sutton this year came into this season having a lot of shade thrown his way by not being a legitimate number one, and the debate having that, we should have traded him and flipped him for a third or flipped him for a fourth, or like we should have just gotten what we can out of him because he's not here to stay and, he's not a true number one. And although I still think this team needs a better number one option than him, he was a hell of a number one for us this year. He had a career high in targets this year at 135. And I don't have this stat in front of me, but I can almost guarantee the difference between number one in targets and number two in targets was never more than this year when it comes to Courtland Sutton and the next person. All in a season where he was the backbone emergency blanket for said Bo Nix's rookie development, which is the most important thing we've gotten out of this season. So one could argue Courtland Sutton was probably the most important offensive piece this year because he allowed Bo Nix to develop and grow and have comfortability in this offense because he knew his guy that he could target 11, 12 times a game was always going to be there. Couple drops here and there or not, Courtland Sutton showed out. 8 touchdowns. That is second in his career as far as totals for touchdowns. Last year was his career high with 10. But, dude, he did amazing. And he's a 1,000-yard catcher, 1,000-yard receiver once more. So, dude, he showed out. I would say I would still label a career year for him. And good for him, man. He deserves a lot of recognition this year for the development of our said rookie quarterback.
I love it. Like you said, all the shade and everything else. And do I think we could still improve with another option at wide receiver? Yeah, I do. But he was what Bo needed him to be when Bo needed him to be that.
Yeah.
And that cannot go, to your point, that cannot go understated how important he was to the development of Bo Nix. If for no other reason, the hand he has in the development of our rookie star, I'm saying it now, star quarterback, it can't be understated.
Yeah.
So I absolutely agree with that season ball to Cortland Sutton. I want to bring up this comment before I go with my next game ball here. I'm not giving a game ball to this person, a season ball, sorry, to this person. However, honorable mention by one of our longtime viewers and a good friend of the show. Let's be repping, saying Dondre Tillman needs a season ball. Dude is an up and comer stud. I'm calling it. And then Tillman getting a lot of love from D-Rock and Blitz and everybody in the chat. Dondre Tillman definitely is an up and coming, he's done very well for himself this season. I can't wait to see what production he has in the future. So that's a very, I like that a lot.
And you remember we said his name a lot in the preseason. He was one of those guys that we constantly praised in the preseason when he did get rep share and he got a lot of volume. So there's something to be said about that. And he was involved in the rotation a lot more on the back half of the year as well. So.
Okay. Blitz says, wait, you guys think Bo is better than Drew Lock? LOL, JK, JK. Leaps and bounds, miles better. And that's as somebody who jumped up and down and screamed like a little girl on Broadway in Nashville, Tennessee, when they called Drew Lock's name in the NFL draft. Because, he was my college quarterback, first of all, but I really thought he was going to be a lot more than he was. So
anyone that can recite Young Jeezy, he's okay in my book.
No, I'm not roasting you, Blitz. I know it was a joke. But I'm the first to admit that I was like a giant proponent and probably more excited than any other Broncos fan in the world when we drafted Drew Lock, and probably more disappointed because of that than any other Broncos fan in what happened and how it all came to be with Drew Lock.
More than Shane Ray, huh?
Again, another one where I was so excited. Don't get me started. Okay. So, for my final season ball, I'm going outside the players. Yeah. I'm going Sean Payton. Kind of, you were talking about how all the things that were being said and the shade that was being thrown at the beginning of the season at Cortland. I'm saying I'm calling back to the same for Sean Payton. There was a lot of questions and things being thrown around. Is Sean Payton the coach we thought he is? Is he the guy that can take this team into the future? And is he washed up? Is he this and that and the other? And while there are still things that we can be critical on with Sean Payton and the fact that he's kind of a very, at times a very abrasive human personality.
Prickly.
Prickly, but pleasantly prickly.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, any player that is on this team right now will tell you that they would go to war for Sean Payton in a heartbeat. And he has literally changed the culture, not just come in here and started winning games. He is not just, which is part of that culture change, but he has changed the culture in the locker room, in the organization, in a positive way. He has absolutely, he saw the quarterback he wanted. He could have gone out there and gone for one of these, after, he made the decision. It was his decision to say, I will not play Russ. Let Russ go. That was his decision. And everybody was like, really? You're going to let a possible future Hall of Fame quarterback go with an $85 million cap hit? And, and he's like, yes. And then they're like, okay, you're going to take a quarterback in the draft. Oh, you're going to take Bo Nix, who was, they said this, that, and the other about Bo, who isn't above a,
sixth quarterback taken.
Yeah. Sixth quarterback taken, and one that a lot of people didn't predict, a lot of analysts didn't predict would be taken out, in the first round. And if he was, late first round. And Sean Payton's like, nuh-uh. I know who I want, I know what I see, and I know what I can do with that guy. And he takes Bo Nix and says, hey, here we are. And look where we are now with a rookie quarterback on the post-game show of our first playoff game in 9 years. Sean Payton has absolutely solidified himself as the coach of this team. You can question, people might still question it. I don't at all. Sean Payton is the coach. Sean Payton will stay the coach until he decides to retire. And
which
he's
real quick here.
Yeah.
Should I ask, how many more years is that?
Well, I mean, he's older. Sean Payton's 60 years old right now. A lot of you see some coaches coach into their 70s. It just depends on health, of course, and then of course how long they want to do it.
Yeah.
If he decides, we might only get 5 more years out of him before he's like, you know what, I'm tired and I just kind of want to hang it up and call it a career. That could happen in 5 years, but I could predict 5 to 10.
Yeah. Nah, he's a lifer. He's an old school coach. He's in the Bill Parcells vein, Bill Belichick vein. They don't know what to do with their lives if they're not coaching. So he might not be with us the rest of his coaching career, but he will be coaching for a considerable longer.
Sure. I have a special pop-in guest that wants to say something on the show.
I want to tell Viking Bronco Johnny, happy birthday!
That's my wife wishing me happy birthday. My 36th birthday was yesterday. Hit the wrong button. 36th birthday was yesterday, and I feel a lot older than I am, but I'm happy to have another trip around the sun. So, and now my niece would like to say hello as well.
Hello!
There you go.
All right. So, I absolutely think Sean Payton deserves a season ball, and, love him or hate him, he is here, and and for the foreseeable future, he's here to stay.
Yeah. No, he is. And we're actually very lucky to have him. I'd rather have him and roll with him than some novice guy that's never done the job before, and we just keep regurgitating that. Or
who is so old and set in their ways and outdated that we can't get any momentum.
Yeah. I mean, Vic Fangio,
yeah. Mm-hmm. But what about you? What about you, cuz? What's your last one? What's your last season ball for the Denver Broncos?
Last season ball, I'm going to give to the defense, and I'm going to give it to Mr. Zach Allen.
I knew it.
Before I get into Zach Allen, honorable mention, I just want to say, Mr. Mirez, the big belly, hats off to him from coming from a junior college JUCO to being a first-team All-Pro in the NFL. He absolutely deserves some praise. Offensive linemen don't get enough praise. They don't have stats to really go after and, varnish there. But, dude, he's a beast, and we're lucky to have him. So, aside from it,
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I would love it. I just Quinn Miners. Did you see somebody posted what he had said in an interview when he was drafted? When he was at the combine to be drafted. Yeah. And they were like, so, what do you think about what everybody's saying about you? And he's like, I don't give a what they're saying about me. I'm going to go out there and show them. And one day you're all going to see it. And guess what? We all see it. We all see it. And Quinn Miners, that's a great honorable mention, Jay.
Yeah, for sure. He needed to be mentioned with that. All-Pro, dude. First team. Come on.
First team All-Pro.
Yeah. And speaking of All-Pros, Zach Allen, he's a second-team All-Pro. He should have been a first-team All-Pro. And it is highway robbery that the man is not a Pro Bowler. I don't quite understand the difference between that you're going to be an All-Pro at your position but not a Pro Bowler. Doesn't make any sense to me.
The difference, of course, being fan votes get you in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
All-Pro is the votes of your peers across the NFL.
The fans are stupid then. Because Zach Allen absolutely deserves to be among the best of his positional group. He had a career high in sacks this year. Had a sack today. 8.5 sacks on the regular season, man. That was tied for 22nd in the league, which doesn't look sexy. but he's not a pass rusher. He's a do-it-all. He was involved in so many different tackles for losses, so many different penetrations that line created and pressures that line created.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
He is baby J.J. Watt, man. J.J. Watt trained him and brought him up his last years in Arizona. And Zach Allen is I'm so happy Zach Allen is on our team. He is just the kind of consistent guy that we really need on that line. We can talk about interior guys like that nose tackle and everything, but like on the edges, man, I couldn't be happier with what Zach Allen has provided to this defense. So I'm fairly positive this is the first time in his career he's been an All-Pro, but he absolutely deserved that recognition. He balled out this year for sure.
Yes, he did. And to your season ball to Zach Allen, buddy. I mean, not only is he an incredible, did he put together an incredible performance on the field all season long, but he's also an amazing locker room presence.
Yep.
I've seen, I've heard reports that the guy walks around everywhere he goes with a notebook, and he takes notes on everything. Offense and defense. If they're in a team meeting where they're, where they're going over things offensively that don't pertain to him at all, because that's not his position.
Mm-hmm.
He is still sitting there with his notebook, and he is taking notes on the offense. He is, and he's a great teammate from everything all the reports that I've heard.
Yep.
He's always there to pick guys up when they're down. He's always around to offer a helping hand and an arm around the waist to pick you up off the ground. He is an amazing teammate, an amazing person, and yes, an absolutely amazing player. Gigantic agreement for him getting the 8th and final Orange and Blue Network and MHRT Network season ball.
Mundungus comes in here. He's like, all right, time to get a new cornerback that can actually cover and get rid of Mathis. 2 parts to an answer there, Mundungus. Part A is we don't actually, because I believe Chris Abrams-Drain, another season under his belt, is going to step up and is going to be a fierce force for our defense. I'm super excited for his future. Another very under-the-radar player that we just kind of got a little glimpse of. But more to come. And then secondarily, you keep my boy's name out your mouth. Damari Mathis is perfectly fine. Rumor
is he
has
coming
it
over? Is Damari Mathis coming over later to have a sleepover with Jay?
No, but rumor has it in Dove Valley that Bo Nix and Sean Payton are going to have a joint press conference later on this week, basically to specifically congratulate and thank Damari Mathis for his efforts and everything he contributed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
totally.
just how much he meant to this team and the development of these young cats. So,
buddy, I think you need to go. I think you need to go grab a little Debbie, because I think your blood sugar just dropped.
You're welcome.
Because you're delusional. Mundungus does also say that love that Sean Payton has changed the culture and got us on the right path, but offensive play calling has been spotty at best. It's another thing that now I think that's something we'll see change in a lot of ways. Yes, he is one of those coaches that is kind of set in his ways, which is a little concerning. But we've also seen him make adjustments this season to his play calling. And I think now that we have a full off season and we know the personnel for the most part, like the strong personnel that he has, with that knowledge, with a quarterback that he now can fully game plan around, he can build a new playbook for next season that is going to more accentuate Bo Nix's talent and accentuate the talents of the players, and we will see better play calling next season. I truly believe that.
And just think of this. The first quarter of the season, we saw the handcuffs that he put on the playbook just because of Bo. Just in and itself because of Bo. That's not going to be the case for an extra 5 games next year. And so if you take the mentality of that's what he was doing to the playbook because of his personnel for the quarterback, what do you think he looks at the running back room and the tight end room this year in the same light? So don't think for a second, once we upgrade talent, that he's not going to have more tricks up his sleeve. and he's not going to get more dynamic in those play calls. Not his fault. It's a talent fault.
And it would not be a show where Mundungus is in the chat if it didn't get a little dirty and he says penetration.
Hey, Bronco Bill was getting all sexual in the neighborhood. So, I mean, there's a lot of things going on.
2 weeks in a row, Bronco Bill. 2 weeks in a row.
Knock it off. This is a
I gave not this week. I actually didn't jump in the chat on this week's neighborhood because I was so laser focused on the game. But last week, Bronco Bill had talked about the on the neighborhood. He had made mention of the healthy sexual, sex life he has with his wife. And it turned into this whole thing for like half an hour of everybody being like, "Oh God, Bill, I got the image of naked Bill in my head," blah, and all this stuff. And I gave him the nickname Blue Pill Bill. So that's
there you go.
Yeah. So that's the new thing. Spence popping in the house, awesome. Bronco Bill's new co-host on Broncos Breakdown on MHRT Network says. Final score, Buffalo 31, Denver 7, Spence 9 beers. Season now over. And then Outlaw Bill back in again says, I know what happened. The NFL is scripted. I'm not that guy, Outlaw Bill. I'm not. But I do believe that there's biases, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it's scripted the way that people say it is. I do love those videos that they put out every year of the script meeting. Everybody's sitting down. And you had who was it? Kirk Cousins walk in with like 19 chains around his neck, and those were funny. But no, I don't believe in the script.
So I was gonna say I will reserve my opinions for NFL scriptery for whenever Kansas City plays.
Yeah, right. So I guess we're kind of at the tail end of the show, Jay. Final, I don't know. Can I give some final thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Before you do, we got Broncos fan for life in here. It is what it is. I'm glad that we were the 2025 script.
2015.
2015.
He's talking about the 2015
Correct.
script.
Like you said, there are some gentle nudges in certain directions, and I think we all can understand that. That goes with all sports. Don't get me started on the Yankees or the Lakers or any of the other sports in that same regard.
1970s and 80s Celtics.
Oh yeah, there's always nudges from interests places. So
yeah.
But go ahead, Johnny. What's your final thoughts there?
Well, my final thoughts are, guys. Again, I know I said it earlier in the episode. I want to thank everybody for a wonderful season. It was, this is our 4th season since we launched the original podcast, Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue, which is live every Tuesday. We launched that 4 years ago. We've done it. So we launched right in the middle of all of this loss of these losing seasons and everything else. And I want to thank everybody for standing strong with us through it all and being here with us for an amazing season. That was a winning season. It feels great. But on top of it all, guys, I am so proud of our Denver Broncos. Okay, we lost today again to the Buffalo Bills, and our season is now over. It hurts, and I'm not happy about that. But the fact that we were even there is an achievement in and of itself. And I hope the Broncos Country can absolutely continue to see that, and enjoy that. The fact that we went from being, from all of these losing years and this quarterback carousel and this coaching carousel and all these other things to now we can actually see the future. We can see a bright light on the horizon. It's there. And we can continue walking towards it. I'm very excited for 2025. I can't wait to start delving into draft stuff because we love that. And let's go Broncos. That's and now we can just continue on our love of the Nuggets and the Avalanche for a while.
Absolutely.
So, and we definitely have to launch our Nuggets podcast. We've talked about it, but we haven't actually gotten it done.
It's true. Broncos fans for life just saying, season I didn't expect or ever imagine. Proud of them. Only going up from here. D-Rock saying, on to the NBA now. Go Lakers. I'm going to ignore that. You can
go Nuggets.
Watch your mouth, D-Rock. And then Blitz finally in here. Gonna miss you guys. Got to jump into the Nuggets podcast as well. Yeah, man. We've got our @ signs here on screen. Go find us on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called now.
And again, there's nothing that, the truth is, there's nothing to miss, guys, because we're still going to be live each and every week talking Broncos. Every Tuesday, Jay and I, every single Tuesday. So, you ain't going to miss us.
It's very true. And as one door closes, another one opens. Welcome to draft season, and welcome to the constant debate that we're going to have until free agency in March, the draft at the end of April.
What are your final thoughts? What are your final thoughts, though?
My final thoughts is, man, I'm just so happy and reinvigorated to be a Bronco fan. Broncos Country has been very depressed for quite some time. It's been 9 years since we've had any sort of meaningful
football. It's been 9 years.
And it's honestly, it feels like longer than that because we haven't had hope in 9 years. We haven't had the most important position on the job filled. We finally have that. We have a quarterback. And this is going to just be one of those things where I'm going to be more excited about Broncos football on the offseason, I think, now as well. Because it's also depressing always talking about the quarterback we're going to go get in the draft, only to either not select a quarterback, which is just super defeating, spending months and months forecasting quarterback prospects to just not even get one, and then get the wrong one. So I'm glad we're all past that. We have moved forward in our fandom here in Broncos Country. We're healed. We are healed. We've healed from the trauma. We can move forward now. We need to turn our personalities around to being the proud fan base that we had been far before this terrible, terrible stretch. All of the monkeys have been off our back now. We've beaten the Raiders. We've beaten the Chiefs. We've been to the playoffs. We got our quarterback and we got our coach and we have competent ownership. Those are all check marks that we have not had in this 9-year span. And I'm just glad to turn the page, Johnny. And speaking of turning the page, let's turn the page onto giraffe season. So
absolutely.
With that, go ahead.
Well, can I throw out one more, like 2 more quick thoughts?
Yeah.
I promise we'll bounce. I also would love to throw out massive kudos for the 2024 season for Orange and Blue Network, our network, and for MHRT Network, our partner network. Both networks being listed in the top 20 of Broncos media in the world. What an accomplishment for us this season, because when you consider that last season we only managed to land on the top 20 for what he called at that time amateur. He called it the list of amateur Broncos, podcasts. We landed in the top 20 on the amateur list last year. But for this season, we both networks were listed in the top 20 of all Broncos media in the world, up there with names like help me out here. I'm trying to think. Phil Milani and Mile High Huddle. For us to accomplish that this year, what an amazing year for both of our networks. We are, and again, just like the Broncos trajectory is on its way up, the trajectory for these networks is also absolutely on its way up. And we couldn't have done it without all of you. And we appreciate you for it. And we're very excited to continue doing what we do.
Yeah.
So,
and with that, please find us on all of our social medias here. This is the Orange and Blue Network. Obviously, as Johnny had stated, our partnership with MHRT Network as well. But I mean, you can't not find us on all the social media platforms. We're everywhere. And to Johnny's point, the more recognition we get, the more traction we get, the more legitimized, I guess, we are. And we get more, play. We get more, exposure to more and more Broncos country. And at the end of the day, we're fan led and we want to have more opinions from more and more fans. And that's what makes these discussions so interesting and so entertaining for everybody involved, including us. So keep it coming for another season next year. And the off season starts now. So with that, what a terrific season it has been. And for the final time in 2024, the Buck Your Feelings post-game podcast is over. Johnny, it's been a pleasure. Broncos Country, tip of the cap, mile high salute.
My salute.
Thank you, and we'll talk to you Tuesday night.
Go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go!